Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine, and this is a new unboxing video, and this one has been requested by several people for the YouTube channel and my website and also the Facebook group as well, and it is 10 years after. The new little box set's come out covering 1967 to 1974. This is a reworking of a box set that came out just a few years ago, where I think they called it the studio albums. Now that was an error in some ways, because obviously the second disc in this set is Undead, which is a live album. Now this did make me think, were they going to, as they just called it the album 67 to 74, would they include recorded live for 73? They haven't, but it does include 10 albums. So what we're going to do now is go through the box and I'll give my assessment of it, and then I'll round it up at the end. So let's have a look inside. 10 years after, 1967 to 1974. A nice sturdy clamshell box featuring 10 albums. The 10th one, of course, is some outtakes from the What album. But inside is a booklet, which I'll come to last of all. And we'll look at the CDs themselves first of all. First one is the first album from 1967. I haven't got the original, so I don't know whether this kind of dirty marks across it is to try and look as if it's a well-worn album, or whether the album looked like that on DRAM records when it first came out. So I'm not sure. The second one is Undead, which is a live album, which is probably why they changed the title of the box from the studio albums to just albums. So that is one of their best, by the way. Then we have Stonehenge. Unfortunately, none of these are in little gatefold sleeves at all. They're quite flimsy sleeves, but the reproduction on the colours is very good. Then we've got 10 years after. The reproduction of the print is okay, so you can see the writing on them. Critical Green, which is one of my favourites. You can really see how the band develop along this path. What? And then A Space in Time. This is another one of my favourites. This is a really lovely album, and they're really breaking away from the typical blues rock stuff on this. But this is a brilliant album. So if you're new to 10 years after, or if you're not, you know that you'll agree with me, hopefully, that that's one of their best. And then we get Rock and Roll Music to the World. And then Positive Vibrations from 74, when the wheels were starting to come off, considering what was going on in 1974 and 73, with the other bands from the period really taking off and embracing hard rock. 10 years after, a little bit of drift on that. And then we get some outtakes, which are from the album What, which were discovered by, I think, Alvin Lee's partner at the time. The booklet is substantial. I think this is probably the condensed booklet that was in the previous box set, perhaps, so anyone who's got that will be able to tell me that. But I think it's well written. There's plenty to read here. There's interviews with the surviving members of the band and tributes to the members that aren't, and so you've got some great memorabilia to see where Alvin Lee came from, then feedback and reflections on the actual each album in turn and the year it came out, so 1969, and some great photos and plenty to read. I've not gone all the way through this myself yet. I mean, I'm sitting down and enjoying it as I discover the music in the order that it was released. So if I was going to say anything at this point, that, you know, the powers that be, could they have gone the extra mile? And it wouldn't be for gatefold sleeves necessarily, but the fact that if you're going to cover 1967 to 1974, there is one album that is obviously missing from this when it was such a great album. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to mention it. And it's 10 years after, recorded live. You know, one of the great lost 70s live albums. And obviously there was a lot of stuff recorded during this period. And I'm showing you in this unboxing so that if you want the complete 10 years after, I would recommend searching for this 2 CD set. Now, it would have been nice if they could have fitted it in And there's obviously a lot of extra tracks that they found on this. I mean, a hell of a lot of extra tracks. If you look here, the bonus tracks on CD2, and here some of these are, you know, long 16 minutes, 11 minutes, 18 minutes jam. So maybe they've got different plans for the live stuff, and there's going to be another box set from that, but I would recommend that. So 10 years after, the album's 1967 to 1974. It's well worth getting. It's a good deal. And if you're new to this band, you can just immerse yourself as they go through the blues boom and turn into a hard rock band. And it's wonderful to see how their band evolves from one album to the next. What is also apparent is how you could also see how they got left behind, where a lot of the other bands in the late 60s were growing and going forward with hard rock and prog and becoming almost metal as well. And 10 years after kind of drifted away from that. But I think Elvin Lee wasn't really that much into stardom as some of his contemporaries were. But it's a great little box set. As I said, the only thing that I perhaps would have made it perfect would have been if Recorded Live was in it. However, you can pick up the 2 CD version of this as quite easily, and with this and both of these, you have the perfect 10 years after collection. Thank you very much for supporting me. Thank you to all my patrons. Thank you for my subscribers. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for being there. And I shall see you on my next video.